I just have this compulsive obsession, or just a compulsive urge to expand on the topic of narcissism, and what kind of a character that is. And it has nothing to do with anything, but I say it's just the Mars. It's the entire atmosphere. The planet is swarming with this plague, and I'm one to say, well, the root cause of all the problems is, well, I'm not one to say this. This is 5,000 years in the knowing, is the mind. The root cause of all problems is the mind. Well, what is narcissism but fully encapsulated into the mind, without getting too comical about it? And but you're free to think about it, and have an experience about it, and talk about it as an empath. Very important to first of all talk about empathy, but what we're really talking about is human capability, like what is really happening, our entire bodies, how that our hearts are hooked into an electromagnetic spectrum, and then from there we are receiving information about each other, about everything, and our brains are, see, to the narcissist, the brains are doing one thing for them, which is pretty much masking them. It's using them. And for the one who is not encapsulated that way, what's happening is that they have mastered their mind. They have seen the use of the mind, includes using the proper way to use your imagination and hold on to what information is useful, and start getting good at something, if not just being present to reality, or actually, well, how does it work that you can become a decent presence towards people, to where that they get better somehow, because just the way that you are learning to learn about the whole situation, it's like you're fresh and new on the scene. Then their electromagnetics is like, oh, well, yeah, okay, so it's not, doesn't have to be one way or the other that we think. It's just, it is what it is, and let's feel into it. You hear what I'm saying? And two totally different, literal the Buddhists would say, states of being. Two different beings. There's your being, and what we say about the mind and narcissism, what Sam Vaknin says, which is a worldwide renowned physicist, and well, he's a psychologist. He's really good at giving us our terms here. Um, the mind can't have reality. It's not even reality oriented. So then, therefore, there isn't any truth available there, unless it's just the truth about the mind. And that's one of the harsh truths about it. It's just got to sit the fuck down and start learning how to learn, and learn how to imagine. And to me, the intricate thing to really start looking into, that not even, see, I don't hear any gurus from the past, in the 60s. They're all just self-absorbed fucking, they have great information, they're worldwide renowned, and they really do help a lot of people, but they're not saying this certain thing that I'm about to say, which is, boy, can I say it? Where was I going with it? It's a certain passage. It's like amazing the amount of ways we can start jabbing at this issue, and what I'm looking at, like how we're looking at it. Boy, I'm sorry, I lost the intricate lace that I was. It's going to come up again. Will come again. It's really hard to, because it's like, well, why doesn't anybody talk about this part and then and expand? You know what I'm saying? It's really important, like I said earlier, for us, especially empaths, to communicate. Well, it's got to be on a scientific level, because we're dealing with the truth now. I'm getting back to this, what I was trying to poke at, the realm of the truth. See, what we aren't considering, and this is where the hang up is. They're saying early in early childhood, trying to get into the body, which is now, to me, it's saying trying to get into just having an experience, which is the bodily experience. Okay, so, but that's what we're doing here, right? This is what's happening, is we try and get up and walk, and then So right then is where some kind of interception is taking place, interference perhaps, um, and the concern is what is actually how are we learning? How is how is learning taking place? And to me, it's obvious. You have an experience, and then your brains equates. Well, what just happened there? And then how did it happen? Did I have pain there, or was it good? What was successful? What wasn't? And this is the way your equilibrium is actually just all of a sudden now you're on your feet. This is what's going on. It's not vice versa. You don't just imagine that you're going to do all this stuff and then you get up and do it. No, you have a slow but sure. You're having an experience, and it's very intricate. It's not about the. It's never about the obvious that I just got up and walked. They just got up and walked. No, they learned all kinds of things about their equilibrium, how it felt, the fear getting past it, the equilibrium. Right? Think about it. The intricacies of just their business of learning how to learn. And it's mainly like that. It's not just from one just trying to get into your own body. It's everything is like this, right? It is like, can you get through just an experience first, and then we can talk about it later, and then maybe equate what was really useful there, and then maybe write a book about it. You don't just write a book first or read it and say that you've been there. No, this is where the language gets kind of loose as far as I'm concerned, and we need to just start expanding on it more. I hear some people are touching it off, and some people maybe be paying attention to them more than I do. And because I'm just looking at them going, what do we need to clarify here, to say, to put the mind in its place and allow what's happening, what's here, what's just clearly, babes, if you're clear of interference, especially of the body, say we're not going to depend on, and I don't want to pick on people, but we're not going to depend on, say, like a 600-pound person to say, well, this is the best way to maneuver across a theater in order to save somebody's life or something. You know what I mean? To start moving and do something physically. No, maybe if they lost some weight, you can tell us how you lost weight, and then start from there and say, and by the way, it doesn't have anything to do with what you eat. It has everything with what you don't eat. How about that? That kind of thing that would turn up as a real teaching, through experience. Instead of just a book read bunch of crap. And speaking of diets, the main word in that any sheep knows is the word die. And stay away from that. Everything has a diet. Diet means what you eat. Everything has a diet. Everything's on a diet. They've got us just what we're saying and what we understand about what we're saying is just not there. There's where, getting back to, let's talk about, I hope you enjoy this rant about just, I didn't really talk about what I wanted to talk about, but it's going to be more and more about, I'm going to hit, like I imagine when Mars is right on my Mars, I'm just going to tell you how the narcissists, they don't want the best for you. It's not possible that they possibly can, because it's all about them. They don't understand about setting themselves aside, like being just a space that allows somebody to be who they are. And then furthermore, see, that's not at all how they can be. They're not present. They're not a real presence there. They're not there with you. So how could they know your authentic self if you had shown it, or that you needed to be able to show it? So they would not ever be there for anything that you ever know that you need it's not authentic in them to be there for your need to be authentic and to shine from the inside out. They don't do that, so they don't get it about you. So it's always like it never gets to the core of your. If you had like, say, if that was a valuable presence there, it's not really, because they don't hit your essence of like, well, why are you here? Like your need, right? Like, like say the association was to bring out more your authenticity and to bring, you know how sometimes you just boom, you hit the same vibrational frequency of who you really are. They're not really into that. A narcissist is doing um, self self gratification and supply, and they won't. You'll see that it just doesn't ever hit the mark. It's like, well, wait a minute, that would be easy to just fill that little thing in and do as what I'm desiring instead of instead you'll see it's just some other thing over there. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but they're not for your you being your authentic best self, because they're not there for that. It's weird. Some of them could be a lot of them are just in this childish state of comparison and competition. It's so immature and childish, and it's like, are you kidding me? You mean that this shit never ends? It's like they're always scoring up how they tally, thumbing you down. And see, this is why I'm bringing this up. I'm not pointing at any one person, but you can find that any one person has this. They say it's 80% of the Earth's population is out there. It's just pretty much on this self-destructive fucking dog eat dog, selfish. You know, like I said, in comparison all the time and competing, and there's this undermining, like, well, you aren't for shit, and I just go over here. A really good example is how that in the industrialized versions of things have just outsold the handmade stuff, and say the mom and pop farmer. Just go to your dispensary and turn your back. Why? Well, first of all, it's cheaper. Well, don't you want to keep the money in our family, or do you want to just butt everybody out? That's how stupid it's getting and how stupid they are. And you go out there and it's like, there it is again. You better hunker down and know that the one intelligence that wins is love, and that is so complicating. They don't get it. See, this is if the last grab, babes, with Pluto in Capricorn. It's so it's masquerading. It's rising its fucking head up, and it's all over the news, right? This way to get you sucked in. It's the last grab. It's what they're calling it, for what? Human perception, for more slaves, for more of this lower vibrational frequency, for more of the narcissist to flare up and say, no, my way or the highway kind of thing. And then how do you like it? And just put these fucking X's over your eyes, and it's all this fucking overdone shit. And it's all a competition of I'm up and you're down, and yeah, and especially the clicking with money is just like, why? Because you're not going to help the person. Why don't you give us some good news? They can't.